Hey, welcome back to the Wyndon Hustle, in my opinion, the best Pokemon podcast, and that is based on some statistics that I cannot reveal to you, unfortunately. But today, we are joined with the one, the only, the longest TCG World Champion of all time, and I don't think that record's ever going to be broken. Henry Brand, how are we, my friend?
Hello, Shay. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. As you said, whatever this kind of de facto streak seems to be going on, I'll take it.
Yeah, I know. Do you know it would be absolutely ace? Like whenever we get Worlds again, I think it's meant to be in London, right? Imagine you just come back and just like, pop, I'll take that trophy back home, please. Like, golly.
That'd be best. That'd silence all the people that say there's no streak.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like I've had this trophy for how long, lads? Did no one else want to have a little go? Like, you know what I mean? I'm collecting dust here on my shelf. Oh yeah, but it's a pleasure to have you on again, my friend. If anyone doesn't know, Henry Brand's our current TCG World Champion, taking it all home and popularising Mewtwo back in the day, making it a scary deck for us all to face until it rotated. So, yeah. How have you been playing much Pokemon recently, Henry? You've been playing a lot?
Honestly, haven't the past couple months or so. I played a lot towards the end of last year, maybe online and all that, but those tournaments can only hold you for so long.
Yeah.
I've still been keeping up and coaching a lot recently, so I follow the meta and keep up and all that, but I haven't been competing really.
Okay, fair enough. So you've been following him out. I've got a little quick question for you. Do you think Mew VMAX or the Fusion Strike Box deck? Okay, what do you think was stronger, Mew Fusion Box now or ADPZ?
I think they were similarly strong, but ADP was way more problematic in the way that it worked because it's very easy to counter Mew, and Mew doesn't really stop anything existing. Like, it doesn't break the game rules. It doesn't say that a certain type of deck can't exist by any means. And you have, like, this Mew doesn't do exceptionally well against single prize decks, like, so it's not gatekeeping those. There's nothing that it specifically says, oh, your style of deck, you can't beat me. So that's really good in that regard. Like, decks like Urshifu or Jolteon are way more unfair in that sense because they just say, okay, well, you can't use engines or you can't have support Pokemon. So I mean, I have no issue with Mew. I think people aren't really used to the concept of like a best deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
I haven't really had that for a while. I don't really see any issue with it. The only problem is that it's the tier 0 deck, but the mirror match isn't skillful, and that's, I guess, where the issues come in. What do you think about that, Shay?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I think the deck is super strong. I don't like it, but I actually think you could be correct in that we haven't had a deck that's by head and shoulders the only deck to play. So maybe I just haven't been used to that in a while. Because even back when ADPZ was a thing, you always had like Luke Metal, then you had like Eternatus and Dragapult when they came out. But yeah, I guess I just think if you're playing competitive at the minute, there's a very low reasons to not play anything else apart from you. So I just thought, you know what I mean, like it could be a bit silly. And I remember when I first started playing it, I was like, this deck is silly, man, golly. And I just think how far the lists have come from like research and all that to like now it's just like free Alicia Sparkle and that and Chromatic. I hate that card. What a stupid card that is.
Don't get me started.
I can't stand that card. Like, you'll just be recording. It's like, well, if this Chromatic is heads, I can continue this game. Oh, okay.
And we're out.
Or your opponent just goes like three in a turn. You're like, wow, okay, I'll just stand around here. Oh, there. Let's keep it moving. Henry, you've been playing for a long time, world champion. I'm sure you've seen and heard some bonkers stuff in your days. What is your funniest event story?
My funniest event story? Goodness me.
Could be online as well.
Well, I think my favorite... look, I've had a lot over the years. I think my favorite one would probably be short but sweet from the International Championships in Oceania, the very last one before COVID hit. And so I was playing the Solgaleo Mewtwo deck, so there's a whole lot of cards. Like, it was brand new. And I remember like a lot of people coming up throughout the day and be like, what are you playing? Like, went on stream, and that was really fun. And then what happened was I walked past Tord, and I talked to him a bit earlier in the day, and then Fabienne had gone up to him and had said, Henry's playing Flygon GX in his deck. and Tord's like, no. And Nico's like, no, what an idiot. And Anyway, and then I walk past them, and Todd goes, "We've got a bet. I have to buy dinner if you're playing Flygon in your deck. Is this true?" And I was like, "You're gonna be out $50."
Yeah, you just rip it out your deck like soz, mate. Like,
Like they just gone to such extreme lengths, and it was a fun and very amusing story at the time. And I think that's probably got to take the cake from recent memory. But Shay, the thing is that we haven't played a tournament in nigh on 2.5 years. 2 years. It's a lot of these stories are starting to get phased out.
Yeah, you're right. It feels like when you just said that Oceana was the last one before all the COVID, I was like, my lord, is that actually? I remember like on Limitless, that seems like so much long ago. Like following that, but yeah. Jeez, that's a madness. So the last event that was played, tag teams were still illegal.
It's 2 years ago.
2 years.
2 years ago.
I'm just sad because I never really got along with tier 1 decks very well, and ADPZ was the first one, and then it's like, okay, Shay's found a tier 1 deck that he likes. Shut the world down. Not today. The world is not ready for this madness. But I actually know how to play this one, guys. Oh, you're all lucky, let me tell you. Worlds, was it London? I would have come down to my hometown, took that trophy back. Sorry, Henry, mate. You know, I know you're a mate. I'll take that now.
Well, Shay, I think after I'm scared about playing against you. If I ever shake your hand, I don't think I'm going to be able to shuffle for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so. That's it. Yeah, like, well, okay, mate. Oh, George, you can't. He just dropped his hand in front of me. Also, this is about going on his hand. I'll take that, Doug. Thank you. Just sign that match slip. We'll keep it moving. I kid. Obviously, it will be dope. It will be dope to come and see you in London, though. That will be nuts. Fingers crossed.
That would be awesome.
Me and everyone listening as well. All you people. If you don't know, I'm a UK resident, so it'd be all fun to see you at Worlds. Have to grind that CP though. Thinking about it, I didn't have the best of starts all the way back in the day. I was sort of relying on the second half of the season a lot, and now I ain't got a lot of time. But we'll see what we do. We'll see what we can do. Moving on then, if I want to get those crispy world invite CP points, then Brilliant Stars is going to be a pretty impactful set. So lucky for us, we have the world champion here to analyze this set. What better person could you want in this world? So let's have a look. I have to scroll down to where the actual text is for these cards. Right, so the first one, Henry, we got ourselves Executor for 3 energy, does 7. I'm joking. I'm not going to talk about Executor.
I was like, what?
How long is the episode going to be, mate, if you're talking about Executor? Nah, joke. All right, let's have a look. Dust uppercut this. No, that's not very. Breloom always has really weird cards, doesn't it? Golly. Okay, what does this Tropius do? I see an ability. Each of your grass energy, each player that has grass energy attacks can't be affected by confusion. That is a very odd Pokemon. Okay, here's the first one then. Torterra. Now, I actually have a little bit of hope for this card, right? It's got some pretty decent stats. And now that we've seen, is it Choice Band that's come out now or been revealed, which we'll just get this out for you viewers now. Choice Band means your Pokemon do an extra 30 to, is it to Warbox Pokemon or just a flat full 30, extra 30?
Just to V. It's only to V.
Oh, only to V. Okay, so all these attackers, all that we look at now, guys, think with that card attached, you can do an extra 30 to V Pokemon. So with that in mind, we got ourselves Torterra, stage 2 Pokemon, 190 HP, Evo Press attack for Grass Curlers, 50 damage, 50 times I should say, each one of your evolution Pokemon in play. But keep in mind as well, the stage 1 Grow Tool has that Dragon Call-esque ability or the Grovyle ability. I can't remember what it was called on that though. But you can search your deck for a grass type Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hands. You have a ton of ways to find grass Pokemon here. You've got the Grow Tool, you've got Turful Stadium. So in theory, evolving up into stage 1 shouldn't be that hard. How do you feel about this then, Henry?
I mean, I can't see it necessarily being tier 1 off the bat. There's a couple of issues that it has. So it has to rely on manual attachments. It can use Raihan as well, but it's difficult to strain that over, 4 to 5 attackers, I guess, throughout the game.
Yeah, of course.
It can't really attack turn 2 unless you have Rare Candy. And even then, that's kind of unlikely. The Grottle's really good for it, obviously, so you can keep chaining these Pokemon. You have Turfield. I'd assume you'd probably play it with B-Barrel, which we'll see later on, which is an Abyssal Hand reprint.
Oh,
so you'd use that as a draw engine.
Yes.
Which would be really good. But as you were saying, so you need Choice Band, or whatever they're calling it now. Choice Belt, I think it is.
Something like that, yeah.
if you're looking to knock out a VMAX, you're going to need every single Pokemon in play to be an evolution, which is really unrealistic because your Torterra's getting knocked out every turn.
Yep.
And so you have to then put down a Turtwig, and so you're at 5. So you're realistically hitting 250, 280 with a choice belt or whatever it's called. And so that will let you one-shot the V-Star Pokemon now, so something like an Arceus, etc.
Yep.
So that's like an okay number, but again, you're really struggling against these like VMAX Pokemon, and the other problem that it has as well is potentially like you could just get Averied and then you're down a ton of damage. And whether that card sees play or not, then also that new stadium, which we'll see later on, like all of these things kind of depend on the cards, but the stadium that reduces bench size. So yeah, I don't see it doing terribly great.
Yeah, no. It's one of those kind of looked at it, and the optimist in me was like, "Oh, this is quite decent." But then, the way I described it, it's going to be one of those decks that's not going to do anything, right? But then you'll be at like a league challenge or a league cup. You're going to start off 0-2 for whatever reason, and then you're going to be playing rando, and they're going to drop this, and you're thinking, "Oh, we should be able to get this dub." But then they're going to draw hot, like we're talking turn 2, all evolution Pokemon. They got the cherry, and that's going to attach to energy, and you just like bang, and you're like. This is the day, huh? This is what's happening today. I'm gonna get rolled by Torterra. That's exactly what this deck's gonna be. Interesting one. Now we've got ourselves the Wormadam. Okay.
Oh, good. I wanted to talk about this.
Yes. So this is really interesting here, guys. So Wormadam, for a DCE, which we all get a DCE actually, right? It's like reduced damage by 20 or something, but it's like it provides 2 colorless.
We've got twin
as well.
Non-rule box, and now the minus 20 DCA.
Yeah, which is great because having 8 of them things is much better than having 4. So our attack here is 30 plus 10 for each Pokemon in your discard pile. Now, people back in the day, there was a Vespiquen that had this attack, and that was a pretty damn good deck back in the day. And then there was also a Flareon, if you're going all the way back. That was also a very good deck back in the day. But one thing, there's a grass type one, there's is it fighting type one, and then there's a metal type one as well, and they all evolve off the same Burmy, so you can hit for different weaknesses as well, which is pretty cool. Like, I think the Vespiquen had the evolution support back in the day, which turned all your stage 1s into different types. Now, that variant didn't really see too much play, but it's nice to have. One thing I don't like about this, though, is that it's 110 HP. I would have loved for it to be levelable, searchable like Vespiquen, but maybe I'm just being asking for a bit too much. So if you throw a ton of Pokemon in a discard pile, you can just be like, bang, start 2-shotting VMAXs, and if you're going particularly crazy, you can start 1-shotting maybe. V-Stars you can probably start 1-shotting. I don't know about VMAXs, though. Either way, Henry, what we figure? You said you had a lot to talk about this card. Go on, lay it on me.
I really like this. So I think as a dedicated deck, Wormadam's not going to find that much success, but it adds a really nice angle to the already existing kind of Zoroark deck. Okay. So the Zoroark Stage 1 deck. And so that does 2 things. So Wormadam hits for 3 different types, which previously you did hit for grass weakness. You had the Galissapod, but other than that, you couldn't hit for weakness. But now you have fighting and metal coverage, which is really nice. And also it synergizes well with Zoroark because Zoroark puts 2 Pokemon in the discard pile. Instantly, just Zoroark and Zoroark, and so it adds damage itself that way. And so you're probably going to be hitting maybe, and you already play a lot of Pokemon, right? Like you play a ton, and so you're going to end up doing like pretty safe 150 damage, like pretty easily, especially with like the choice belt or whatever. And so I think it's a really nice. You're never going to be hitting those ridiculous numbers to one-shot things. Maybe you can one-shot on like a V-Star. Maybe like the end of the game. You could probably one-shot like, a 220 HP V on turn like 3 or 4 maybe, but maybe 4. Yeah, towards the end of the game. But just having these tight weaknesses and the extra attack in the Zoroark deck is going to be really, really nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. These decks are always this sort of style of attack has always been decent, and like you said, like just two shot your first V back. You only need to knock out 2 V-Star VMAX, right? It's just 2-shot the first one, and it's a late game. You can just start being like, right, if I'll see you later. Big fan to have this in format. It's a super fun way to play the game. And like you said, Zoroark is nuts. There are so many cool Zoroark attackers already. Like one that comes to mind is that Flapple, that one that just ejects stuff. They got bare abilities in play. Love that. So yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on that. All the Vespiquen people back in the day. That Mothim is trash though. That will not be going in that deck. That's for sure. Interesting then. We got ourselves our first V-Star then. We got ourselves the Shaman V and the Shaman V-Star. Now, the Shaman V isn't really that great. We'll talk about it pretty quick. For 2 energy, you got 60, plus 40 for each prize card your opponents take. I mean, it's not bad, but it's basically just a way to, get into your V-Star, which basically has the same attack. 120 plus this time, 40 for each prize card your opponent has taken. And it's got its V-Star ability, which doesn't really synergize well with the card in my opinion, but heal 120 damage from each of your grass Pokemon. You can only use that once per game. So when I first saw this, I thought this could be a decent-ish, maybe little card in like a Leafeon deck, because they take their first three prizes, and then you can maybe swing in with this and try and make them take 2. But the more I thought about it, I thought probably not. What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's interesting. I think the best use that the Shaman would have is maybe just the basic Shaman V as a kind of toolbox attacker. Like if you're playing Aurora Energy and some way to accelerate a single colorless, then it could be a decent type coverage attacker. Like we don't really have that much for grass, I don't think. So that could be okay in that regard. They take 3 prizes and then you're one-shotting a VMAX, so that's okay. The V-Star itself is, again, kind of average. The abilities, I can't say being terribly useful.
Yeah.
Because it's heal 120 from each of your grass Pokemon, it's not that good. Like, what's going to be just hitting 120 that's going to be impactful enough to heal off everything? Like, I don't really see it. The attack, again, is, like, fine, but nothing to write home about if you're playing, like, the 1-1 line. So I think I'd just stick to... If you're going to play Shaman, you'd probably just play the basic one just for a type coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty lackluster, this Shaman, to be fair. Seems like... This seems like a very opening set for a mechanic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you had Sun and Moon base, you had, like, Umbreon GX. You're like, okay, well, that's great. And then fast forward a few sets, and then you get good ones. This strikes me as, this is the first V-Star. Let's just keep the power level down a little bit, but then it'll start getting crazy later on. Speaking of crazy later on, I've just cut that a little tiny bit, and we have ourselves here one that I see a lot of people hype, and I've seen a lot of pre-set lists already for this guy. So let's talk about it, shall we? Charizard V-Star. They have to slam a Charizard in there to make sure the pack's out.
Have to.
Yeah, they've got a Charizard V-Star, 280 HP. Now remember, guys, these V-Stars give up 2 prizes, so 280 HP on a 2 prizes. Just keep that in mind. Explosive Fire for 3 energy, 130. Plus 100 damage if you have any damage counters on you already. And then we got our V-Star power for 4 energy, 3 fire, 1 colorless, 320 damage. Discard 2 energies from this Pokemon. It's worth discussing real quick. To get those damage on you, there is a stadium, which, let me just double check exactly what it does, but I think it's put 2 damage counters on one of your fire type Pokemon. You can attach a fire energy from your discard pile. Let me just...
Yeah, it's also got to be on the bench as well.
Oh, it's got to be. Here it is, yeah. Hold on, just scroll past it. Once in each player's turn, you can attach a fire energy card from a discard pile to their bench fire Pokemon if they do put 2 damage counters. So that's how you can sort of get those damage counters on your Charizard really easily, whilst having some acceleration, because right now fire has 0 acceleration. So that's the sort of combo they've thrown us here. Henry, how do you feel about a Charizard V-Star deck?
So I really like Charizard, and that's not to say that I think it's insanely good, but I really like it because it's just kind of fine, but not bad. Like, it's good. It's just well designed. It does a good amount of damage. Like, it does 230. That's a good amount for the investment that you have to put in. It's not one-shotting V-Stars like it might with, like, Choice Band and an extra modifier, but even then you still need that extra modifier on top, which is good. You've got Star Blaze, which I think is a really balanced V-Star attack, 320. So it's one-shotting a VMAX. But it still takes 4 energy, and there's a downside, so you need to discard 2 from that. And so that's really nice. It's really balanced. It's not some ridiculous GX attack that we used to have. The engine for it is really good. Like, it's fixed acceleration, so they're accelerating exactly 1 per turn, maybe 2 if they can bump their own stadium and play it back down. It's to the bench. There's just, like, a lot of nice restrictions that will make it feel good to play and play against, which is really good. So I like it.
Yeah. It feels like it's going to be pretty good against VMAXs, right? Because, like I said, you have the opportunity to, uptrade. But against other V-Star main decks, though, do you feel as if you have to invest a lot to still be 2-shot in a V-Star? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, there is the choice spend thingo, so with maybe something like quick shooting, you're one-shotting another 280 V-Star, but anything that has less than 280, so like 260 and below, which some of them do, You're
True, yeah.
one-shotting with a choice,
Oh yeah, fair
whatever.
enough. Yeah. I forgot.
I really need to figure out exactly what it is.
Yeah, let's have a
but
look.
yeah,
Let's
so
have a look.
it's good.
Yeah, I forgot you could play this with thingy. Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah.
Choice
Fair.
belt.
Choice
Right, I remember that
belt.
it's
Okay,
belt.
choice belt
There
that
you
goes around your waist, not your head. so,
go.
so, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's gonna be decent in it. To be fair, two prizer, potential to one shot, and then good consistent. I love stadium. I love stadium acceleration as well. Something we haven't had, I don't think, for a long time. But I like that. I like the idea of that. You know, because you might get multiple use. You know, if it stays in play for like 2 or 3 turns, you are laughing. You could even put Entei into here as well, which I don't think's in this Poker Beach thing. But Entei could work well in here as well. It's a nice little utility to energy attacker. So yeah. I'm a fan.
Entei, there's also the Moltres as well, which is we'll see in a sec. We can jump to that actually. Let's jump straight there.
Yeah, let's jump to that. That's some cool artwork. I ain't seen a normal Moltres in a while. Moltres thinking, hey yo, I exist as well. It's not all about Galarian Moltres, you know. I'm still here. Basic Pokemon, 120 HP. Inferno Wings for 1 fire energy. You do 20 damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 70 more. So a bit like a Hooper Assault Gate, except that you just have that damage on you, which obviously the stadium will just sort right out for. It's a good little poke. Any other uses for that Moltres there, Henry? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense in these V-Star decks that only use 2-prize Pokemon, so they're not playing a VMAX, right? And so if you attack with a Moltres in the active, if at any point your opponent is forced to go through that, they've just like lost the turn and you've gained 90 damage because you're never going to have a 3-prize Pokemon down. And so the prize trade is always like, if they're forced to take odd numbers, they're going to be losing out no matter what. And that's nice. And, you know, if you don't get if you're trying to deal with VMAX Pokemon, what you can do is you can hit with Inferno Wings, then you can hit with Charizard V-Star's first attack, and then use the V-Star attack on the second VMAX. And then you've 1 in 3 attacks. So that's really good. Also, another like nice little sequencing thing is that if you want to use Moltres, you have to use the stadium on the Moltres to get the damage, and so then you have to allocate your manual attachment to something else during the turn, which is just, again, nice little mental gymnastics you have to go through when you're playing.
Yeah, no, that Moltres is like a pretty good card in that archetype. Like you said, just thinking of the uses, like, you know, you could have turn 1 donk if you're apparently Sobble. You're like, hold on a sec, stadium, see you later. Yeah, maths fix on the VMAXs seems gnarly. Like if they can't, if they can't get around that, that's just a checkmate scenario, isn't it? Like, oh, like this game's over. Do you want to sign the match slip now, or do you want to actually go through this? Because there's nothing you can do. So, yeah, I'm a fan. Okay, what does this Magmortar do? Sorry, for 3 energy, 120 damage. For Electivires on your bench does to 240 for free.
Not that good.
Probably not, unfortunately. I'm a believer, but not quite. Well, what does this Inferno do? I remember looking at this thinking, why have they printed this? Let's have a look. Fire Vortex.
It's a good video for you.
Yeah, there will be some highlight moments, that's for sure. 1 fire energy, 80 damage. Reveal top 5 cards of your deck. Does 80 for each energy card you revealed in this way. Then discard those energy cards and shuffle the rest. Oh, I remember this now. This is like the team up Gyarados and the old Typhlosion, but it's the reverse. It's discarding the energy and keeping the rest, whereas the rest of them, they keep the thing you wanted that, you know, increases your damage and you get rid of the rest. So that's really strange because then you'd have to be playing like a ton of energy recyclers and thing as well. Yeah, I don't really like that one. What do you think?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm never much for these kind of attacks anyway, but yeah, it's something to toy around with.
Yeah, just like very, very strange. Because normally, like I said, the Gyarados, it gets rid of everything else and keeps changing. So by the time we get into late game, it's just like bang, all energy, bang. But this is doing the reverse. You have to like get those energies back into your deck. But an 80 multiplier is pretty crazy, actually. So now I think about it, actually, that is pretty nuts. Okay, yeah, there'll be some fun highlight moments here for sure. All right, let's have a look. I heard someone talk about this Lapras. Are they correct in hyping this at all?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, here's an interesting one though. We've got ourselves this Empoleon card. Okay, this is a very interesting card. So
yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, so stage 2 Pokemon, guys, 160 HP with the ability Emergency Ascent. Once during your turn, if this card's in your discard pile and you have no cards in your hand, you can put it onto your bench and draw 3 cards. You can get it out essentially turn 1. Play your hand down, have it in discard pile, you just get it into play, draw 3, and then your attack for 1 energy is Water Arrow. This attack does 60 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's a pretty good little snipe, actually. So you've got some donk potential here as well, actually, if your opponent's playing 60 HP Sobble. But This strikes me. If this was in format of reset stamp, oh, you would have loved that. Just get that in the discard pile. Trying to stamp me to one, not today. How do you feel about this in Empoleon? I feel like there's going to be a ton of uses that I'm not thinking of, and that's why we got Henry here.
I don't know. I think I wish the card had a little bit more use once it was in play. I like the ability on, like, as a design concept, it's really interesting, and I like the designing interesting abilities. Like, that's really cool. I can't see it doing a whole lot. Like, in the past, it would have been a good handlock counter. So you can have the Empoleon in, and then they can't, Jesse James reset stamp lock you. But as it stands now, I don't see a ton of use for the Empoleon because you can get the same function out of Krigatune. I know that can get turned off by Path, but that works every turn. And also Empoleon requires you to have no cards in hand. So it's not like you can be, only put down to like one card in hand.
Yeah.
And that's why you wouldn't even counter reset stamp Jesse James that good, because you draw for turn, and if that card's not playable, then you still can't emergency ascent. It's cool, but not anything to write home about.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like you said, because your hand has to be so low, it's like you even compete with stuff like Rose Tower at that point as well. Like, I guess you could do some fun stuff with Peony though. If it was in your hand, you could Peony, get your 2 trainers, dump that in, and then you can like draw 3 again. But then again, like you said, then you got Rose Tower. There's other ways to get around that as well. So, but yeah, interesting card time and format. There will be a time I feel where this is going to get used, but as it stands now, probably not the greatest. Very interesting card though. Oh no! Speaking of a card that will definitely get used. Oh dearie me! As soon as I saw this, I was like, uh-oh. I know exactly where this is going. Let me check Sanders' Twitter real quick and see if he's done a tweet about it. Here we go. All you stall lovers, control lovers, anything of that business, get used to seeing this card right here. You're going to love this one. Okay, we got ourselves Floatzel. Stage 1 Pokemon, 110 HP. We have the Floatify attack. Put 2 item cards from your discard pile back into your hand. Anyone that's been playing for a very, 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 very long time will recognize that attack as, what was it called on Saberlight?
Junk Hunt.
Junk Hunt, that's it. And if you played then, that was a scary attack, let me tell you. Key differences here, though. It is on a stage 1 this time, worth noting.
Yes.
But, yeah, getting back 2 items. So you can get back stuff like Cross Switcher, for example. Keep that Galar Mine in play. Bring something up. All this mad stuff. Henry, what are we thinking?
I think it's really good. You can also get X Transceiver back, or Cross Transceiver, which lets you loop supporters off of Floatzel as well. So that's good to generate small loops. You can get back Pal Pads. You can get back dreaded Crushing Hammers that we shouldn't talk about.
Oh god.
You can get Cross Switcher. I mean, you get back anything. And the other thing as well is that it works quite well with I want to say Azumarill.
Yes,
which is a similar recursion attack on a water energy.
Yeah, that's
so they use the same energy. Yeah, perfect, good. They use the same energy costs, which means that the control deck can play the same thing. And if they opt to play Zoroark as their like evolution line as well, then it's easy to pivot between the two, and so it just gives them a lot of nice recursion to try and, I guess, figure out a open condition. I'm a fan.
Yeah, no, it is. As much as, I mean, I get annoyed playing against control and all that, as much as the next person, but you have to respect it. It should have a place in the format, in my opinion. So it's nice to see, because I think right now, what is it, like Corviknight? Is that the best iteration of control right now? Some sort of Corviknight stall with memory capture or something?
Something like that. Maybe some more finicky control list would work as well, but it's definitely on the ropes at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely one of its weakest points, and I'm sure with this Floatzel, it's going to be getting back up there as well. Because I think, isn't there some sort of supporter as well? Let's actually quickly see. Is that in this set? The supporter that lets you get back 4 things or something crazy?
There's that. There's also a card we'll talk about in a few seconds as well, so there's lots.
Okay, well, let's quickly talk about this Roseanne's backup supporter, which is actually interesting because it lets you get back special energy. Let me read it out to you. So, supporter card, you can choose 1 or more of these effects. So, shuffle a Pokemon from your discard pile back into your deck. Shuffle a tool card from your discard pile back into your deck. I think that's the only way to get back tool cards at the minute as well. Shuffle a stadium. Definitely the only way to get back a stadium. And shuffle an energy card. So that didn't say basic. So, keeping that in mind, Control can now get back all sorts. But then again, so can other stuff as well. Do you see, what are the immediate use cases you see for that Roxanne, Henry?
Immediate use, I'm not entirely sure. I think it depends on your deck. Like, you can be a deck that really relies on DC, I guess, and you need a 5th one. which is pretty impressive. It can give you an extra way to get a rapid strike energy, but that's not hugely relevant. The stadium, so it really just seems like something for control, and the reason specifically for that is because control's a deck that can use all of these types of cards as win conditions. And so in one
Yeah.
game, they might want to get back a stadium to have parts of the peak stick room. You might want to get back an energy, or you might want to get back a Pokemon as well. Like you'll always want to get back a Pokemon.
Yeah.
You might want to get a tool back, and so it really needs something that's going to rely on the flexibility of it, because there's nothing that really needs to get back a tool or an energy super desperately.
Yeah, true. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting card. I say control is going to be naughty. Speaking about other naughty things as well, we have ourselves a Lumineon V. Now, I can't remember last time there was a good Lumineon V card. I'm sure Jake Gearhart would know if there has been one. Shout out to him. But we have ourselves Lumineous Sign. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench, you can search your deck for a supporter card, put it into your hand. So if anyone has been playing recently, got ourselves Tapu Lele. And then Wonder Tag as well on your Jirachi EX. So interesting. Now I said my first reaction to this was it's obviously a good card. Like there's no way around it. It's a good card. But everyone's saying Tapu Lele. I don't think it's as impactful because you can't play supporters turn 1. And a lot of the time that Lele was grabbing Lily, which you had to play turn 1 for the most part, and Bridget, similar vein, you had to play it for the first turn. So I don't think it's going to be an auto include in every deck. At least in my opinion. How do you feel about that, Henry? Do you feel as if it is an auto include? Because I mean, it's a 2 prize on just 7 HP. That's not a lot as well. So
yeah, it's really held back by its HP and the type of format we're in at the moment. And so if we go into a V-Star format, it's giving up the same amount of prizes for about 60% of the HP. So like a 280 HP Arceus V is giving up the same amount of prizes as a 170 HP Lumineon. And with the accessibility of bosses, orders, and everything hitting about that number, like at the minimum, like, Arceus hits 180 with the double colors. It's a massive liability. And so you need to be playing it and getting a massive spike in power from it. So with the point where the prizes don't matter. And so example of turns like that, which would matter, could be, like you fully heal one of your Pokemon by grabbing the Lumineon, like your Cheryl or something like that.
Okay.
Your Lumineon for Cheryl, or your Lumineon for Boss, which is gaining you tempo, and you don't care about the prize trade because you're winning so strongly that it just doesn't matter. And so Lumineon for Boss for game, or Lumineon for Boss for game next turn is like probably the main way that it's going to be getting use. But it's really good, and I think it'll see play in like most. Well, maybe most is heavy-handed. It'll see play for sure. What also really helps it is the next card, Manaphy. As well. But just Lumineon existing is really great because it also helps Raihan. So Raihan's a really good card, but it's only functioned in Drizzile Engine decks, right? Because you have to be able to search it out. And so access to one of cards is really nice. I think if we didn't have bosses orders in format, this would be fantastic. And like
100%.
just the engines and the way decks would function would be really, really nice. I still think it'll see play, but yeah, it's nice to have back.
Yeah, definitely a good card to have in format. And I didn't clock about Raihan, but yeah. Oh, I love me a cheeky Raihan, obviously. So yeah, this helps out. Yeah, I love Raihan. I think I've got a little whiteboard of decks I have to cover this week. I hold it to the camera now, and I think Raihan's in like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only like over half. So love me a bit of Raihan for sure. Yeah, interesting. Like you said, yeah, it'd be sad if you lead it though. Oh, could you imagine like playing Arceus V-Star? They're like, oh, see, I'm one-shotting something today. Not used to that. But yeah, no, fantastic card type and form. It just opens up options, and I'm always up for cards that open up options. Maybe you don't have to play Inteleon engine right. Maybe you can get away with some Lumineons. So I am a fan. Speaking of cards, I'm also a fan of Manaphy. Basic Pokemon, 70 HP, Water Veil, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attack. So if you have this on your bench, Jolteon is just doing 100 to the active. Rapid Flow can only hit the active. Now, I think some people are having some big knee-jerk happy reactions to this card, though. People are saying Jolteon and Rapid Strike Urshifu are dead. Now, Jolteon, I think, has a little bit harder of a way to navigate around this, but for you people that can't remember, Rapid Strike Urshifu was a top tier deck when Unbroken Bronze Mew did exist. Now, There's a little bit of a key difference though. That extra 10 HP I think is insane. It means you can't get like triple quick shooting, or you can't get like double quick shooting yoga looped. But I still think Rapid Strike Urshifu has ways around. So I don't think this card's a death per se of Rapid Strike Urshifu. Jolteon I feel is a little bit more tricky. But a great card to have in format, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that Jolteon and Urshifu have been way too oppressive for a long time. I think they're a massive issue compared to something like even Dragapult wasn't that bad despite the spread. But something like Mew is not even close to as oppressive as Urshifu, and Jolteon is. I don't know if you've ever tried to beat Rapid Strike Urshifu without playing a purple deck, but it just doesn't really happen.
No, it's so good, isn't it? Golly.
It's just too good.
It's so good.
It's like the best card ever printed, and they just kept pumping it up. And especially when you can rapid flow every turn, it's just not fair. Like, it is genuinely not a fair card in any stretch of the imagination.
It's madness.
When it released, it was kind of okay because it didn't have the Pacinian, it didn't have the quick shooting, it didn't have all this other stuff. It had to Gale Thrust a lot. Yeah. But now it's just out of control. And so, yeah, this is really important. It doesn't absolutely kill the deck because you have to actually put it into the deck. You know what I mean? You have to be playing the card. And so it just adds to meta dynamics, but it's necessary because some decks just can't function otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's the amount of times. So obviously, we play some crazy stuff around here at HotChocShorts PTCG. Oh, yeah. If I put it for them a Rapid Strike Urshifu, I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be a grinder. And especially now, Tord. Shout out to Tord for popularizing this Melanie build. That is just way too damn consistent. You're just like, right, if they miss rapid flow this time, I might be okay. And you just watch them like, nah, they ain't gonna miss it. Like, oh wow. But yeah, cracking card to have in format, especially when you're playing Jolteon. I say Jolteon right now is the best random deck slayer in the game. Like, if you're on a ladder and your opponent's trying some cute stuff, Jolteon says, no, you're not. Like, bing bing, if you just KO that. Bing bing, if you just KO that for one energy as well. Jolteon is a madness, like, and yeah, having some way to like keep your bench dudes alive, like against like Urshifu, for example. Like, if you're playing, like, I don't know, let's go Sword and Shield base Cinderace. Hey, that rhymed as well. You're like, well, I have to get down 3 score bunnies right now, otherwise I lose the game. And it's like, oh, I only drew 2 level balls, so damn, that's this game over. So yeah, very happy to have that back in format, but I don't think it completely invalidates Rapid Strike Urshifu because Yoga Loop exists. You've got to be careful. That Yoga Loop will catch you. Okay, interesting card here. Raichu V. Now, when this got revealed, my group chat, because I played a lot of Malamar, Ultra Necrozma back in the day. Someone was like to me, yo, Cher, you bare happy about this Raichu? And I was like, nah. He's like, why not? You like Ultra Mally? I was like, Ultra Mally could one-shot stuff, man. You have to have like 6 or 7 and for this to start one-shotting. Hello. And against V-Stars, it's a little bit bad, but against V-Maxes, you're struggling. So let me talk to you about what it does, people. So, guys, I was Raichu V, and also a little side note as well before we get started. I was so confused when it said fast charge. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn, search your deck for an energy, attach it. And I was like, it's a Raichu. How's that happening then? How are we like mustering it into play? And I realized it's a basic V. Okay. So we got ourselves Lightning Spark for Lightning 60 times. Discard any amount of lightning energy from your Pokemon in play. This attack does 60 for each one you discarded in this way. So I think I worked out you have to have like what 6 to start Oko and VMAX, and then obviously 4 or 5 for V-Star. So yeah, how do you feel about that? I feel as if you have to do a lot.
I mean, I think my opinion is summed up that I thought we were going to keep scrolling past it.
Okay. Yeah, it's not great. Not great, is it?
I mean, look, it could get some functionality in a deck that's trying to play like, I don't know, Bolton VMAX or something. Like having this as an extra card where you can just slam it down, attach from hand, attach with a Dynamotor, bam, one-shot something. And it has merit like that, but it's nothing, extreme to write home about otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's it. I don't think... it goes into a 2-prize, maybe 3-prize fluffy deck, but I'd rather just roll the dice with Rayquaza still, to be honest. At least you have some threat and some one-shots every now and then. Yeah. Look at that Electabuzz artwork. My man is ready for battle. Golly. Shame you're not going to be getting any battle, though. Let's have a look. This Luxray someone was talking about. Okay, I don't know why. That's some cool artwork, though. Give him credit, but Was it 110 for? Nah. I'm not evolving up to a stage 2 for this. Okay, now this is actually interesting. Okay, we've got ourselves a little Pachirisu. Wait, is this the right one? Yeah, it is, yeah. Pachirisu, 70 HP basic Pokemon. Wind Up Thunder. For 1 lightning, 1 colorless. You do 30 times each tool card attached to your Pokemon. Anyone remembers there was a Trubbish, tool drop Trubbish back in the day. It had a very similar, I think, was it exactly the same attack? Might be the same attack, actually. So you just get loads of tool cards into play, and you do some big damage. But I hear you asking, that's not very good. Pokemon can only have 1 tool card attached. Well, actually, there is a Garbodor VMAX can have 2 tool cards attached, but I can actually do you one better. There is, where are you? Honchkrow V. This is pretty gnarly, actually. This Pokemon can have 4 tool cards attached to it. I think there was a Sigilyph had the same ability in Plasma Blast.
Yes.
So you can attach 4 tool cards to this Donny. You can go like 4 capable toughness if you want and give this boy a ton of HP. But yeah, that's the idea. You're going to have loads of Honchkrow, maybe not even loads of Honchkrows. Honchkrows on your bench, slap in with Pachirisus, use stuff like EXP Shell or Rhyhound just to keep those 2 energies attached. And you can threaten some pretty big damage with this tool drop deck 1 prizer. How do you feel about this, Henry? I think this has more merit than a meme.
Yeah, I mean, tool drops will play.
Yeah.
Tool drop relied a lot on XP share, which this deck can do as well. Tool drop had Masquerain. I don't know if you have a similar thing. Oh, we've got the stadium. We've got shopping center, which can function as Masquerain. So that would let you swap your tools around.
Move the tools around. Yeah.
So you can use like 1 XP share and then take it off and put it on your next attacker. So you can use that. You also have Raihan, which is good for Pachirisu. I don't know if it hits the numbers though. So back then, tool drop did 20 times.
Oh, 20.
And so 10 tools, it's about the same. So the breakpoints were a bit better because you needed everything at 180 HP back then. And so you did, for 9 tools, you'd one shot. With 8 plus one of the tools that added damage, you'd one shot. And so now, if you want to one shot a VMAX, you need 10 tools plus the choice belt, or otherwise you need 11. And so it's a lot. I mean, choice belt helps the deck a fair bit in that regard as well. So you only need like 8 for a V-Star, or I mean 9 if it's an Arceus. It's definitely playable. How good it's going to be, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not a total joke.
Yeah, no, for sure. It just scares me. Like, if you have like 4 on your Honchkrow, it's like, bosh, you're like, ooh, that's a lot of damage gone. Like, but yeah, it's gonna be.
That's the other thing as well. It's tool holder is a 2 prizer. And so the problem with that is, you can just get boss chained over and over, and they ignore the Pachirisu, and then you're not doing a whole lot.
And you have to like recover those tools quick, and there ain't many ways of doing that apart from your rock sound. But that's getting about 1, so and it's going to deck. But yeah, super fun thing to have in format. And I think isn't there another tool attacker actually? There's the Whimsicott, right? What is that? Oh,
yeah, I think it's maybe a better user of it.
Okay, so we've got Flying Fury here for 1 energy. 10 damage. Before doing damage, you can discard a number of tools. This does 40 for each one. Okay, so how does that stack up with it?
You discard the tools, which is not terribly great since you don't have a reliable way to like recover a whole lot of them. But the breakpoints work out better. So it's 10 plus. So if you do 8 tools, you're one-shotting a VMAX. If you do 7, you're one-shotting a 310 HP VMAX if one of them is a choice band, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So so you do 290 with 7 tools. So the choice belt makes you do 320. So that's a better number, but again, you discard them. And so then you need to find another 7 tools, which is going to be difficult. So
yeah, the discarding them seems a bit costly. But either way, cool card and deck to have in format. Very excited. Very good. What does Cafe will do? Nah, I'm alright. It's pretty funky. Dusknoir. This is actually pretty crazy. Dusknoir always gets nuts cards, and this is no exception. Look at that artwork as well. My lord. Alright, so we got ourselves Dusknoir, stage 2 Pokemon with the ability Special Trans. As often as you like, you may move a special energy from your Pokemon to another. That is a pretty cool ability. Moving around energy is always fun. Moving around special, I don't think you've actually seen that. That's pretty crazy. So you can move around stuff like Aurora for an Aurora box, maybe some sort of Cheryl deck, maybe something like this. How are you feeling about Dusknoir?
I mean, it's a niche ability on a stage 2. I don't think it's fantastic. Typically, this ability's only really succeeded on stage 1 Pokemon because it makes it easier to get them into play.
Yeah, that's true.
The only way I can see it being terribly relevant is you use Arceus V-Star's ability to be able to search out rare candy Dusknoir more reliably.
Okay.
And then it also lets you move around the DCE energy that you've got. But the thing is, you don't need that to loop your healing because you can just attack with the Arceus's attack, accelerate energy to the next one, then next turn, recycle and loop that whole thing. And so even then, it doesn't get a huge amount of use. The only thing would be maybe if you're like, I don't know, playing Togekiss, you could use it to loop Cheryl as Togekiss, and that way you keep attacking. But again, you have the DCE for that, so you can still do that without Dusknoir like 4 times. Yeah, I don't think it'll see play, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Good card to have in format again. We said that quite a lot in this set. Good card to have in format, but maybe not the most immediate of uses. But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting one. We got ourselves Whimsicott V-Star. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are saying Shadow Rider is back. I'm not sure if they were using this in their Shadow Rider list, but either way, apparently Shadow Rider's back, and this could go in there. So we got ourselves Whimsicott V-Star. Basic Pokemon, stage 1 Pokemon essentially. V-Star Pokemon, 250 HP. Tricky Wind, that's a cool name. For Psychic Colorless, 160 damage. Your opponent can't play tools or special energies from their hand during their next turn. And then your V-Star Power for 1 Psychic does 60 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Oh, I didn't read that. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So you've got a little high-powered snipe attack there as your once per gamer. And then you've got essentially like a Chaos Wheel type effect, stopping your opponent attaching special energies and tools, and providing a good, crisp, consistent 2-shot. 1/6 is a good number for that attack, don't get it twisted. And then there was a card, Chaos Wheel, was on Giratina EX back in the day. That card saw a lot of competitive play. So my question to you is, Henry, do you see this seeing an equal amount of competitive play?
Yeah, I think the card's pretty good. I don't think it's the strongest thing in the world, but I think it's really playable. So we have to look at what the attack is directly stopping, and I guess how that would influence your matchups. And so something that it does very well against is that it stops Rapid Strike decks pretty much totally. So you kind of have to combine this with something like Fan of Waves so that you can get rid of any existing energy that came down before Tricky Wind. But it's very good in that regard. And so something like, and again, we have the double colorless energy, so you can do 140 and 2 attachments, 170 with the choice belt, so you're 2-shotting VMAXs and V-Stars. So that's good. Let's say you could play something like Arceus and Whimsicott in the same deck, potentially cover your fighting weakness on Arceus, and also lock out your opponent's special energy. Like, you could lock them out against Arceus. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot every game, but it could be something here and there. It could stop them healing as well, because they can't, go, which we'll see later, but the Acerola equivalent, that's to pick them up, they can't reattach their double colorless, so that could help. And the V-Star attack's really good, because if you've been using Tricky Wind, you attach 1 more double colorless and you're doing a 300 snipe, which is really good. Yeah.
300 snipe, wow.
Pretty good.
300 snipe, wow. Just that one-shot's a V-Star. Like, we just catch that later. Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, very, very, very interesting card, that one. I said a ton of decent uses. 1/6 is a good number. I am a fan. I'm a big fan of that Whimsicott, I'm not going to lie to you. And like you said, stopping that Rapid Strike, just like, hold up, sir! You can auxiliary that energy all you want. It's staying in your goddamn hand. Staying right there. So okay, let's have a look. Sigilith always has good cards, not today. Here's the fighting type Wormadam. So they would say, good. Here's the fighting type one. So you can use that to slap your Eternatus. And Eternatus is actually a deck that could be getting quite a lot better with that choice card as well. All right. Lucario. I feel as if they've done my boy dirty here. On the cusp of being good. We have ourselves Lucario, stage 1 Pokemon, 120 HP. Once on your turn, you can put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon. If you do, search your deck for 1 fighting energy, attach it to this Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck. Is it only 1 as well? Golly, only 1. And then for fighting, continuous or a sphere, discard all fighting from this Pokemon does 60 for each card, each energy you discard in this way. So very reminiscent to Roaring, is it Burning Resolve? Team Up Charizard, very similar ability. So you can get 2 energies, I think, with that. And the attack was pretty much the same as well. I think it was 50 for each one. I don't think that breakpoint of 60 damage is anywhere near enough for this to be good.
Nah, this card sucks.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know why. Why are they giving it 1? Why are they giving it only 1 from there? What's that about? Like, if it
Yeah,
was
it
2,
needs to accelerate too.
yeah, if it was doing 2, you get some like cheeky right hand. I reckon, because actually, I would give this time of day if it was getting 2 from there. Well, why? They're like, oh, it's a stage 1. It has to be 1 now. Oh yeah, great. So you've took a potentially niche fun deck and made it hollow bulk. This is gonna be the card when you open it up and you get your white code. You're thinking, yep, got him, getting a good card today, and you're gonna flip over Lucario. You're like, God damn. Oh, and I hate those cards, and that's what this is gonna be. Cool artwork though.
Yeah.
There is a Throw, one of my low-key favorite Pokemon. He is ripping a tree from the ground, but I'm not redoing that else, unfortunately. What does this Golok do? 30 plus 10 for each card in your hand. This is trash, actually, and I'll tell you why. There is an Indeedee that has the exact same attack on the face, so you're never using this guy. You're never using that. No. Don't ask me how I know that, but... there's a Grimer, Poison Pokemon. Okay, I actually saw someone said you can play this in a Leafeon. If your opponent's active is poisoned, its retreat cost is 1 colorless more. Now, in that use case, I feel as if you're going to have to try and poison them as well, and get a stage, maybe multiple stage 1s into play. So I think the easiest way to poison them would be the rapid fire poison Slowbro, right? When it's inactive poison. That seems like a whole lot of work, though, right?
My man's gonna split the atom before he actually pulls that off. So.
Before he pulls that off, yeah, fair enough. I think that seems like a lot of work. What is it? Flip 2 coins. If one of the heads of your phone reveals your hand, put a card from your bottom. Yeah, no. We saw the Honchkrow already. It's attack by the way. I don't think we read that out. But dark colorless, 130, your opponent reveals their hand. So they had to give it a little trash attack, really. But yeah, there we go. What does Spirit Tomb do? Always the king of 1 energy attacks. Until your next turn, your opponent's weakness is dark. Huh. Okay, those effects tend not to be that great. I think like switch around and stuff, but it is for a colorless energy, so you never know. Is there any sort of dark Pokemon that take extra poisons? I don't think there is. There's the Metal Wormadam. There you go. So got that as well for you. Probopass? Nope. Heatran? Nope. Clink. What does Clink Clang do? Your basic Pokemon takes... Oh, come on. Why would you evolve into a stage 2 for that?
All of this is bulk, my man.
This is bulk. Okay, we got ourselves a Flygon V, actually. And I think this actually does a ton of damage, yeah? So for grass, fighting colorless... That's a big attack cost right there. 160 damage. If your opponent's active is a V max, it's 160 more. And then you discard 3. So, if you essentially get these 4 energies on, you can just eject a VMAX from the game. We're actually talking to a resident, apparently bad Flygon card user over there and making them really good as well. So, Henry, is there going to be any flash in the pan for this Flygon as there was for Flygon GX?
Unless something similar happens where, you know, there's a random way to use it that is not currently clear, then no. Like the card does a ton of damage, right? Same with the old Flygon. It does a ton of damage. Like 320 to a VMAX is fantastic, but I have absolutely no clue how you're getting that cost on a Flygon turn after turn. So yeah, that's a no from me.
Yeah, you can't even use Bay because it's not a fighting type, right? That could have been a fun little deck, Bay Flygon actually, but can't use that. Oh, this Garchomp! Oh, I'm excited for this. I don't know how competitive it's going to be, but it's on the cusp again. This actually has potential, unlike that Lucario. So, guys, that was Garchomp, stage 2 Pokemon, 160 HP. With a really cool ability, when you evolve this Pokemon from your hand, prevent all effects of attacks, including all effects? Yeah, all effects and damage from your opponent's Pokemon. So I mean, it's immune from damage when you evolve it, okay? And then for water fighting, you do 160 damage. Discard the top 2 cards of your deck. I don't know why I discard the top 2 cards of your deck for. That's a bit mean. But it is 2 energy for 160, which is a good consistent 2-shot on most things. And you can be immune to damage as well. Do you think, Henry, this is actually going to be a decent deck?
Nope.
Oh no! Why not? Stage 2? Stage 2 pops?
So it's stage 2. Which is already a problem. Then your attack requires 2 energy. If you're trying to loop like your Garchomp's ability, you can't reliably do that with Scuba Up Net because you need to be reattaching every turn. Your 2-shotting, which is like not enough. Boss's orders exist so they can get around the ability and just take out a Gabite and then next turn take your Garchomp. The attack discards 2 cards for, as you said, literally no reason. Like, it's not like the game would be completely broken if Dragonblade just did a flat 160. Like, they're just trying to give it some personality or something, so it's not like a basic Garchomp. But my man needs to get a better personality trait than discarding 2 cards. So, it's a no from me.
Fair enough, yeah. I hate Pokemon do that a lot. don't they? Like, you know, like Manaphy, for example, where it's like it can only be attached to a V. Like, why? What non-water type are you attaching this to? Where it's like the game just implodes on itself. Like, come on. Like, why does this have to discard the top? Oh dear. It's just, I hate when they do that. They just, oh dear. All right, on to the colorless now. There are some good ones. This Farfetch actually pretty decent, right? 20 for 20 plus, and then 10 for each damage count your opponent's active Pokemon on a DCE. So pretty splashable, right? There are going to be use cases for this Farfetch, right?
Yeah, but it's just like a Basculin. The Rapid Strike Basculin, but for colorless. I think it's a good card. I think it'll get play in certain things. Can see it, I don't know, play in something like Zoroark, which already plays twin and double colorless. Yeah, it's worth keeping in mind.
Does it go in like an Arceus deck, man? Thinking about it.
Maybe. It could be a decent, because as I was saying, like these 2 prize V-Star decks really want to have a single prize Pokemon. And so something like a Farfetch could be really good for matchups where you want to be 2-hitting your opponent's active. You know, you hit for 180 with Arceus and then you just clean up with Leak Lash. Yeah, I'd say you probably play a copy of that if you don't have a different single prize Pokemon.
Yeah, and there's some fun artwork there as well. Getting ready to slap someone with that leak and send it to the discard pile. Okay, what does Staraptor do? Staraptor, man, you have to pull your game on, man. A good card in a while. Okay.
Here we go. We got one of the best cards in the set.
I love the fact they've given this to Bibarel as well. What a little meme. And if that ability stays anyhow similar in translation, that is crazy. So, got ourselves Bibarel here, everyone's resident HM slave in Gen 4. Ability, efficient, fun teeth. How does that? You can draw out 5 cards in your hand. So, Abyssal Hand. For everyone, Octillery back in the day, draw out 5 cards. An insane ability. And you can use, if you have 2, you can do it twice. Some key things to note, though. I think Octillery was really good because you could Brooklet Skillet back in the day, whereas Bidoof is obviously a colorless, so there's no colorless search. But it's hard to argue with drawing up to 5. So my question is to you, Henry. As it stands now, could you see this replacing Octillery and Inteleon in your decks, I should say? And then when Inteleon does rotate, this will obviously be really good. But do you see that there's any decks that will favor this to an Inteleon? That's what we're sort of competing with, right?
Yeah. Inteleon is particularly good for what we have at the moment because specific search cards are better right now given the pace of the game. So just generically drawing cards is better in the long run because you're going to see more things. But when the games last maybe 3 to 4 turns and they're quite short and you have to hit what you need on each turn, the specific search from Shady Dealings is very, very powerful. And it also lets you pull off these, kind of silly combos rather than play for a long game. That being said, with the prevalence with single prize decks potentially being more playable, something like a B-Barrel becomes a lot better because the continued draw from B-Barrel is going to let you stream your single prize attackers much, much better than a 1 or 2 Shady Dealings a turn.
Yes.
And then they're going to run out by turn 4 or 5 or whatever, and then you're kind of dead in the water. B-Barrel also takes 4 spots compared to the maybe 12 or more of a Inteleon engine.
Yeah, that's true.
And we get Ultra Ball back, which not only surges for B-Barrel, but also thins cards out of your hands to use the ability. And I don't know about you, but look at the guy. He looks so helpful.
Yeah, he does.
Look at him. He's already stacked his wood.
Yeah, he's already coming like, here you go. I'll collect this wood for you. Have at it, mate. Have at it. Like, yeah.
Here's your boss's orders. Yeah. So I'm a fan. I think the card is awesome. I think it's really great to have back in. It's nice to have like some kind of engine outside of committing your deck super, super heavily to it. And, it was either you play a 4/4 Chinchino or you play the 12 card Inteleon engine, but now like you could just play a B-Barrel.
Yeah, like a little cheeky 2/2 or 3/3 if you really depend on it. Yeah, no, for sure. Like going back to my handy dandy whiteboard, the amount of decks I'm like, I could really try and squeeze in a little engine here. I don't want to just try and find a support every turn and pray. I'm like, can I trying to squeeze in an Inteleon engine ain't really the easiest. So, Bibarel will work. There's a few decks on that list there that Bibarel would work well for. So glad to have it in format. Let's have it in form. But hey, Bibarel only weighs 31 kg. That is mad. He looks like a big chunky geese.
Wow.
Okay, got ourselves Arceus V-Star. I'm a big fan of Arceus just because of ADP, so I will be playing this. One of the most versatile cards in their set, and arguably versatile cards for a long time. V-Star Pokemon, 280 HP on a 2 prize, a 280. On a 2-prizer. Back when I started playing, KLJ EX had 170 on a 2-prizer. 100. 110 since then. Jesus. Trinity Nova for 3 energy. You do 3 color energy, I should say. 200 damage. Search your deck for 3 basic energy cards and attach them to a Pokemon V in any way you like. Once again, why are we only attaching to Vs? Do we just not want amazing rares to ever work? No? Okay, fair enough. I see where you're coming. Pokemon. I see where you're going. Don't you dare play a 1-prize deck. Don't do it. Then shuffle your deck. Then we've got our V-Star Power, Starbirth, in arguably the most versatile and probably, maybe the best one. Search your deck for 2, during your turn, search your deck for 2 cards and put them into your hand. That is crazy. That is a double computer search on an ability. You can attach energies. There's a ton of colorless stuff as well. You've got the Cherin, I think, which is around here somewhere. There's a Cherin in here. Cherin's Care. Put one of your colorless Pokemon that has any damage counters to it back into your hand. That's more like an Ace of Roller from back in the day. So yeah, I think there's a good few use cases for this, Henry. What are the sort of immediate ones that spring to your mind?
Well, I mean, Arceus V-Star is a fantastic card.
Yeah.
In terms of Charon's Care as well, it could see play with Arceus. It could see play with Togekiss.
Yeah.
I know people are talking about Greedent Stall. There's a lot of uses for it, but Arceus is just a phenomenal card. I really like it. It's very versatile, like you said. The ability is absolutely bonkers. Like that's just, it's really really good. It also doesn't feel like terribly game breaking. Like it's just a really nice ability to have. And you can play the deck however you want. You can play whatever colored energy you want with it. You can have different. You can play multiple types. You can just play one. You can add in, a Moltres engine. You can add in. I don't know, something else, you know what I mean? Like a Melanie engine if you want. You can go to Melanie so that you can power up Trinity Nova in 1 turn. We also need to talk about Trinity Charge on the basic Arceus V, which lets you for 2 energy. Search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V. So nuts. Already, you can go second and just turn 1, attach DC, and power up your whole board. I mean, the card is, it's insane. It's really, really good, and I like the direction that it looks like it's going to take the game.
Yeah. It's just like you said, it's so versatile. There's going to be some decks where you might play like a 2/2 Arceus V-Star just for the power. You know what I mean? Like being able to just search 2 cards is just, that's mad. Like some sort of random powerful stage 2s, like for example, one that springs to mind, Dusknoir now, the special energy stopper. If you want to play a deck that wanted to play that, you could just play like a little, I don't know, a 2/02 line of that with 2 rare candies or 1 rare candy. You use Arceus V-Star into play, like, you know what I mean? Like the possibilities there are really good. I am a fan of this Arceus. Also, there's a Dunsparce, I believe, that removes fighting weakness from your colorless types as well. So got that going for you. Got a ton of tanking potential. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan. Do you think it's going to be good as a standalone?
Yeah, I think it'll be very strong on its own. I think it'll be played with something else for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's really strong on its own. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just loved. I think the reason why. The reason I love this deck? So that was a card somewhere. It's quite bad as well. Is that you played ADP. If you ever got the Ultimate Ray off, you'd most of the time win that game. So I just look at Trinity Nova. I just think, it's Ultimate Ray. I'm going to win the game if I get to that. And chance is going to be very different to that, obviously. But yeah, I just loved ADP back in the day. So I'm like, all right, give me any semblance of ADP, and we're getting back to rolling. So you will see me.
There's also
sorry, carry on.
There's also an interesting little bit of like trivia with the Arceus. And so what this Arceus V-Star tells us about their design philosophy when it comes to ADP is that there were 3 distinct components of Arceus, Dialga, Palkia. And so the energy acceleration from Ultimate Ray was the Arceus component. So Arceus's way to play the card game is to accelerate any type of basic energy. Right. And then you have Ultra Creation. And so you had the damage and the prize cards. And we know that in the past, time has been equated to prize cards because Dialga cards in the past have interacted with prize cards. So then we can know that as a result of that, the Palkia component is the extra damage. And so it's interesting to think about potentially the design philosophies when we are probably anticipating having a Palkia and Dialga V-Star soon.
Oh yeah, and that makes sense as well because the Ultra Creation was for metal and the water energy as well, and Ultimate Ray had the color. Pew! Mind blown! Like Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because Dialga had that Timeless GX back in the day. That was not even pulled that one off as well. Just stopping your opponent having a turn. Like Okay, yeah, interesting. Love that. Love that. So I'm a big fan. Any events you see me in the UK, I'll probably be playing this. Just gonna let you know now. So if you want a local meta tech me, you know what? I don't know how you auto win this matchup, but have at it. Try, because I'll be playing. I'll be playing Farfetch. I will be playing Dunsparce. Don't try and doing that stuff with me. I will be playing it all. Okay, let's have a look. So now onto the trainers now then. So we've got Freshwater Set, a very interesting card to have reprinted. Heals 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. You know, if you really want to keep your Manaphy in play and your opponent's quick shooting it, have some of this, lad. Yeah. Ultra Ball though. Golly, now this is a madness. Oh my goodness. I have a picture on my phone somewhere of all the play sets of Ultra Ball I have. I've got a ton. I don't know which ones I'll be using it. Probably the PLB reverse ones, or maybe the League Cup promo. The little ones might be using them as well. Either way, mad card. When this rotated, I think from when I started playing, which was about Dark Explorers time, all the way to it rotate. I never knew a format about Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball was always there. So now we're getting it back. In case you don't know what Ultra Ball does, discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, so get a Pokemon from your deck. And so it's going to be Evolution, Basic, and that jazz. So yeah, this is good. This is really good, obviously. I saw a little debate earlier on Twitter, though, and it was really interesting. So in Inteleon decks, what's the ball split going to be? You've got Level Ball, Quick Ball, Evolution Incense, and Ultra Ball. First thing I want to say real quick, though, what a problem to have. Like, what exact ball search? Yeah, which ones can we use? I think, before we get started, I think what my one was, I think you'd want to go at least 4 level. That's probably the best one. Maybe like
in
2
Inteleon decks. Absolutely,
in Inteleon deck. Yeah. Like 3 Evos, 4. I don't know. I really like Ultra Ball. That could just be the bias in me though. Yeah, I'd lean more towards Ultra Ball. What do you think?
So people are missing a really key part of this discussion, and it depends entirely on what deck you're playing. Because what Ultra Ball allows you to do, which Inteleon decks kind of struggle with, is make sure you get your V down turn 1. That you are planning to evolve, right? So like Ice Rider, a lot of the time, I found that if you don't play that many outs to Ice Rider turn 1, because you can only play 8 at the moment, outside of like Great Ball, which is just criminal. But it's a problem, and so you need to be able to get it down. And Ultra Ball doubles its extra basic search for those V Pokemon. So it really depends on that. And if that were the case, I'd probably play 2 Ultra Ball. So I'd round out to 10 outs to a basic V, which feels really comfortable. And then you just go 4 quick, 4 level, 2 ultra, 3 incense. That'd be my ideal count. I mean, I think that's the ideal. Ultra Ball is very difficult to play in decks like this, but if you're just treating it as an extra out to your basic turn 1 that also has a multitude of other uses, then it's totally fine.
Yeah. And then obviously a non-Inteleon deck, this is a nuts because it lets you search anything. Such a good card. I'm a fan.
It's really good.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Just get any card. And then getting discard synergy as well. Very important for some decks. Getting that discard synergy. Are you happy to get this back in the format? There's a lot of people. There are some people that say, you know what, I hate boss's orders. I hate reliable gusts. You see some people, I hate Ultra Ball. And it's just like, sometimes, I just want to hit your bench. And sometimes I actually want to find my Pokemon every now and then. And boss lets me hit your bench. Ultra Ball lets me actually get my Pokemon. So how's about that? I don't want a Great Ball and miss everything when I play 4 Houndoom and 4 Houndour. Sometimes I just want them. I'm a bit of a rant here. I apologize. Are you happy to have Ultra Ball back?
No, I am for sure. It makes Crobat a better card as well. It makes the B-Barrel a better card. It makes everything just better. It means, like, Evo Incense is a good card, but it's very fixed. And so having a way that you can play both, Ultra Ball and it just really fixes a lot of, I guess, search engine problems. Like, as you said, it's a good problem to have.
What was the format where we had to play communication? Was that Sun and Moon? We had to play
that was the 2019 World Championships. Just after rotation, the only way to search a generic basic Pokemon was Pokemon Communication. So we had Com, Treasure, and Cherish Ball. And what do you know? A Psychic GX deck that could play Treasure and Cherish Ball, the 2 best search cards. Was good. Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought that? There might be a skit actually forming in my head now, going back to the timeline. We have to play 4 Com, and now it's like, are we playing Quick Balls? Are we playing Level Balls? Are we playing Ultra Balls? Great Balls as well.
4 Com.
4 Com. Yeah, so I think I'm happy to have this card back and forth. Like I said, I actually want to set up. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like, I miss me basics. So I know here's just Barrel in the active or what Bidoof, sorry. Like, you know. Yeah, imagine actually wanting to set up. Imagine that craziness. Golly,
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna have Twitter going mad at me now. But yeah, I'm ready for it. Come on. Okay, moving down. Another absolute bonkers colour. This one, I'm not sure if I'm as excited for though. This one, Choice Belt. The attacks of the Pokemon this card attach you to an extra 30 damage to your opponent's active V. So it's a bit like Silver Mangle, it only works on V Pokemon, but Silver Mangle could only be attached to non-rule box Pokemon at the time. This can be attached to anything. So anything has a flat extra 30 if they want it. You have to really look at some old cards now in a new light. Stuff like, I think, Single Strike Gengar. Yeah, it's a pretty big hard use case now if you want to use Single Strike Urshifu, because with this, you're hitting for 280 without Single Strike energies, right? For one less energy. Eternatus can now hit 300 on a full bench, which is crazy if you start going to more like a Zigzagoon route, for example. Now, you can start to do some madness. So every deck now has a plus 30. What other madness is there, Henry? I'm sure I've missed some off.
Ice Rider is pretty good with this. So Ice Rider reaches 280, which is really nice. It also one-shots V-Star Pokemon. Yeah, it's good with Arceus because that lets you go to 210, which can one-shot a lot of V Pokemon. Because you do 200 and then you do -20 and then you do plus 30. And so that's like a good number to have, hitting 210 on that. Hit Moltres hitting 220 is good. Again, can one-shot the V Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a ton of uses. It's difficult to name them all.
Yeah.
But it's very good. And what I actually like is when they start balancing cards with Choice Belt in mind. I really like. And so, whilst sometimes this does allow things to reach really big numbers, when they design cards with it in mind is really good because it means that you have to build your deck around using Choice Belt, and then suddenly you're playing around it, and it's just an extra dimension.
For sure.
To the game, and it's good.
Yeah, no, like you said, yeah, no, any card that comes out now, they'll nerf the damage a little bit. In my opinion, you have to go find your Choice Belt, and you might not find your Choice Belt, and your opponent might play around you, maybe prizing a Choice Belt, or maybe you discarded too early on. Like there's another little interaction, bit of resources there for sure. But yeah, I would have preferred it to only be attached to non-rule box. But yeah, I'm not gonna cry about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's good. It's good to have. It's good to have. Good to have.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if you realize, I did a skit on this card. I was like, why does this exist? In the skit, basically, it was like an army commander said to his one prize Pokemon, "Oh, we have some new support guys. We can go fight now. This card gives us -300 damage." And they go into battle and they lose because obviously it's -30 instead of -300. Why? This is trash. Think about it now, people. Let me tell you what this does. Pot Helmet, sorry. It's a tool card. It can only be attached to a Pokemon. It doesn't have a rule box. It takes 30 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon, right? What mad one prize deck can now flourish when they take 30 less damage? Oh, wait. Like, there ain't
I don't understand this one, man. I don't understand this.
Terrible. Like, oh god.
Go nuts, I guess. But yeah.
Like, it's not totally strange card. And the best about that skit was actually filming with a pot on my head. That was the fun part. Okay, now we've got some pretty good supporters though, actually. Okay. Kindler. You can only use this card if you discard a fire energy from your hand. Look at the top 7 cards and put 2 of them into your hand. So it's a bit like a Bill's analysis, but Bill can only grab trainers. Just grab anything. So this could grab you special energy, actually. A special energy dig. But you have to discard a fire. Do you see like a Charizard V deck actually playing this?
I'm not entirely sure. So I think the effect is actually really, really strong. So looking at top 7 cards of your deck and putting the 2 in your hand is really good because it's essentially the same. It's the same dig as a research when you're looking for something specific, but it also allows you to build combos much better than research does because obviously you get to hold the existing hand you had.
Yes.
So it's a really good card, but the fact that it comes with a requirement is the problem. It is good to discard a fire energy in these fire-based decks, but the problem is when you have to, because if you don't have the fire energy, this card's completely dead, and suddenly all of your like odds of having good hands or bad hands or probabilities of you drawing supporters and things like that are just completely skewed because one of them has a requirement in order for it to be played. So I think the card's really good, but you'd have to test a lot to see if it would function properly within a fire deck.
Yeah, and then you have to sort of juxtaposition where you want to run more fire energies to make sure you could always have the effect, but then you have more likely of just drawing into fire energies off the effect, like, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah, so a
Yes.
little bit of juxtaposition there, but not a bad card to have though. Like you said, there isn't many options for supporters that just grow the hand. Like I think probably the main one is like Avery at the minute, like, and that's not really, that's only like draw 3, maybe something like an Alistair, but yeah, this is a good option, and
Yeah.
I like it. Speaking of good options, we got ourselves Cynthia's Ambition. She's an ambitious lady, Miss Independent.
She sure is.
Support card. Draw till you have 5 cards in your hands. So got yourself a barrel. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out, draw till you have 8. Draw up to 8 is a mad. I don't think I've seen a card that draws up to. Oh, I guess Lily. But apart from that, can't think of any. You have Bruno, which is shuffle in, draw 8, which I guess is the sort of immediate competition. Bruno, if you got KO, shuffle in, draw 8. This one lets you draw up to 8. So it depends if you're trying to, I don't know, build towards a combo. You might prefer a Cynthia. But then you could argue drawing up to 5 is better than Bruno's shuffle in, draw 4. So what do we think about Cynthia, Henry?
I think it's a better Bruno. I think you're right in that regard. And with Ultra Ball as well, like the draw until you have become much better. With Luminion as well, or like a Drizzile engine, you can play one of this. I can't see really playing more than 1 or 2, since it's obviously a really bad card when you're not getting knocked out. Like Lily was never that great, like draw until 6, and it's only draw still 5. I think it'd be playable at like a 1 of index that can search it out, but I wouldn't go too heavy handed on it.
Yeah. I think you're right, especially as well. I mean, as V-Stars, we transition from VMAX to V-Star, you know, you're going to have more turns to actually use this as well, right? If you're playing in a VMAX deck, you can use it like 1 turn, right? So you'd have to play it in like an Inteleon deck or something that can shoot, or in Luminion, I guess, as well. But having moved into V-Star, you get more uses, so cool. I like cards like this, a knockout. Or if you're the king of this was Teammates, that was, give us a teammate. No, they couldn't.
Give me that bag.
Yeah, that'd be mad. The teammate, I used to love Teammates back in the day. Oh! Chevin's K, we talked about a little bit, but we're going, like you said, Togekiss. You can use this. Snorlax maybe as well if you're a bit more of a rogue. Professor Research, we know about this anyway. We got stuff enough. Roman 1 now, probably at least. I don't know. I don't like Roman, but put him back down. Roseanne's we've talked about already. Boss, now that is the best artwork. Look, I'm basically wearing this hoodie artwork. I mean the artwork colors. I'm basically wearing a hoodie that matches it now, so that is a killer. I'll definitely be getting some of them. Collapse Stadium. This, I flip-flop on this quite a lot. Basically, it's the stadium card, people, where each player can only have 4 benched Pokemon. If you have 5 at the time, you have to discard 1. Anyone that was playing back in the day will remember Parallel City. That card was a madness. Yo, I used to fear that card back in the day. But one of its main uses, actually, as the meta evolved, was you would use it on a setup Pokemon. Parallel City yourself. Parallel was the 3, by the way. And you have to point it, because I had 2 different ways you could point it, right? You point the 3 bench towards yourself, clear off your Shamans and Hoopers. So now say I've got a board of 3 attackers, have some fun. So, but is 4 good enough for that use? I'm not sure. I mean, good against a Eternatus, but I'm struggling to see an amazing use case straight away. Good card, but are there any sort of... have I missed something here?
I saw people like get really hype on this because like, oh, you know, limiting your opponent's bench is so good. You know, there's a lot of decks that want 5 bench Pokemon or, you know, Eternatus, yada yada. Anyone who has watched me stream or has got coaching from me knows that I talk a lot about passive and active cards, and I really do not like passive cards. And so that effect where people say, oh, it's your opponent can only play 4 bench Pokemon, like that's pretty good. That's a passive effect. And that kind of sucks because your opponent just puts that on a different stadium but suddenly doesn't do anything. And so what you're looking to get out of this card is the active effect like you talked about, where either you use it to, you know, immediately discard an opponent's Pokemon, which doesn't really do a whole lot, like that doesn't do much, or to discard your own Pokemon. And that's where it shines is, you know, let's say you played Luminion, you could then bump it with your own Collapse Stadium. But the same thing goes, like you said, it's difficult to have exactly 5, so the uses for it are less. I think it'll see play for sure at some point. But how much play it'll see, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, like if you're sort of trying to proactively stop your opponent from having more than 4, they just replace your stadium. That's super sad. Like if you're running a stadium for that purpose, they just replace it. And that's the problem with a lot of stadiums actually. Something like an old cemetery, similar sort of thing. If they just bounce it, oh, okay, shame. But yeah, but if you want to go like the bench removal route, Avery is fantastic for that as well. If you're trying to hit your opponent, I should say. So, but yeah, maybe like I said, like an Arceus deck then. If you want to like run a couple Luminion to get like your Charizards and just immediately remove 1 from play. That's the problem. You're only removing 1, like, and you have to fill your bench. It's a little bit counterproductive. Like Parallel 3 was a good number for that. You can remove 2. You only get one, so I'm not 100% sold on this. Terrific Eternatus Destroyer though. Like, golly,
Yeah.
that's pretty mean.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about Magma Basin. This makes Entei really good. I'm a big fan of Entei. Moving
Enter
forward.
is cool.
Yeah, and here's just double turbo energy. We managed to get so far. We're not talking about this yet, but also double turbo energy. Not quite double colors though. So you can't get those old ones out your binder, unfortunately, fellas. But we got ourselves double turbo energy. When this card is attached to a Pokemon, provides 2 colorless energy, but their attacks do an extra 20 less damage, I should say. So he's in a total ton of use cases already, stuff like Arceus. But I have to start looking at other cards in a new light as well. What I really like about this card, the first thing I thought of was that now stuff like a Vespiquen, for example, can now run extra, essentially, copy of Twin Energy, right? Like, you know how back in the day you'd run 4 DCE and then like maybe 1 or 2 3 CEs, jump accelerate, kind of a similar vein. Are you excited for this card, Henry?
Yeah. I mean, I've never I guess this is a bit of a hot take. People always have whinged about DCA, but I've never once in my life, I think, complained about the card. I never
Yeah.
thought it was an issue. I think that a powerful finite resource is good and it generates counterplay. Like, I think it's totally fine. And I think this is a healthy way to do it as well because there's a downside. So, they do 20 less damage. That's a nice little caveat to have. It makes Togekiss playable. It makes Arceus obviously very good. There's just a whole lot of things that it adds to the game. And I really like that they brought it in after all of these cards that can use it because it makes you look at everything else through a different lens. And you can look back and be like, oh, now I can play that card, or this card's completely different. And it's nice to add these things that make old cards playable because it really refreshes and revitalizes the game. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan as well. Big fan. You're right. I'm gonna add DC to another one of those cards that people moan about, and I don't think they should. To be honest with you, like, how dare you actually want to attack? Stop that! No.
No.
Just those people that moan about boss. Do you remember when that was that format where it was what was it? Just like custom catcher, I think, was it, or something? Was it just custom
The
catcher?
2019 World Championships. Yeah, we're getting this brought up a lot.
Yeah, it is the one you won, by the way. I just like. Oh, do you remember when that mill deck, Tincino Mill? The only reason that could exist is because you could only Gust Twice. Like, nah, man. Let me just hit your bench. Let me actually attack. Let me set up with Ultra Ball.
Boss's order is slightly different, Shay. I'm not sure I'm entirely. Most of your things. No, I'm not a huge fan of Boss. But enough. It's fine. We can't have everything we want. Everything else that we're talking about, like Double Turbo, Ultra Ball, nice to have back. So.
Yeah, I think it's just the difference in like you're obviously a high tier competitive player. I just want to, I want to win games quick because I'm not as good as you. Like, I need to rely on these powerful cards. Like you led Luminion. No, I'm getting that at some point in the game. I don't want to have to try and find double custom catcher. Give me that now. But yeah, right then. So that's all the brilliant stuff. We're gonna finish off the episode here, Henry, with. You're obviously world champion. I said the longest world champion. Really good success at big tournaments. I know you've been tearing up those Australian regionals as well. And I see you on Limitless. I see you. With events, hopefully, fingers crossed, coming back. What are your sort of main top tips for anyone that's looking? Like, there's going to be a whole ton of people that maybe haven't ever gone to regionals before, like maybe got into the game via TCGO and then maybe looking to some IRL. So what is your sort of main tips for people that are looking to get back into IRL, or maybe even if it's their first time?
I got a lot of tips. I think one big thing that you need to take into account is that playing the game, especially in person, is exhausting.
Yes.
And in a competitive environment, it is exhausting. And there are so many things you need to do to take care of yourself during a tournament.
Yeah.
And at least some of the things I do. So I have what I do in between rounds is like I carry a pair of headphones. So if I'm feeling a bit tired or want to just like kind of relax myself for like 5 minutes, I can just put headphones on, go for a walk. No one's going to talk to you. Just relax for like 5 minutes to get some peace and quiet because you've just been concentrating for nigh on an hour. Yes. You need to relax because you're going to be doing it all day. You're going to be doing it for 9 hours. You need to eat, you need to drink, and you also need to practice playing the game in person. So online's good for understanding your matchups, but that's not practice. Like, you're not practicing the skill of sitting at a table for 50 minutes and playing the game. And so I implore you to get a friend, get your mum, your dad, your friends. If they play.
Yeah.
And set a timer on your phone for 50 minutes and just play a best of 3 in 50 minutes and be conscious of the time and be like, okay, well, this game one's not looking good. I'm just going to pack it up and go to game 2. Vice
Yes.
versa. Do that. Yeah. All these things. Just remember that you're basically an athlete at this. You are.
No, yeah.
You're
100%,
competing.
yeah.
You're competing. Like, I know people were talking about how like chess players lose like 10% of their body weight or something, or when they're concentrating. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
some nonsense statistic. But
Some
anyway.
really high number that I was a personal trainer. I was like, what? Like, I don't know if that's true or not. But if it is, that is an outrageous amount of calories to be burning. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, and it's exhausting. I mean, if you've played a ton of tournaments, Shay, you'd
Yeah,
understand.
it
Like,
is.
it's taxing. So just be prepared for that. It's not going to be the same as playing online.
Yeah. And then thinking about this is mostly towards people that just play on TCGO, right? Like, very, very different. Obviously, you've got the fact that mostly TCGO events all open deck lists. We'll leave that to the side. That's a whole different topic. Like, they won't be open deck list IRL, so you can't be saying that. But, like,
Yeah.
it's just different. Like, if you're at home, you've got, like, your Spotify on this monitor, maybe got your friends Discord, you can just chat. Can't do that IRL. You have to literally sit down at this table. And then you can't listen to music, you have to play your and there's so many different things you have to think about. Like checking the discard pile, for example. You don't just click and it all just blink, palms up. You have to actually look for your opponent's discard pile. So many different nuances, I think. So many different nuances. And what Henry was saying about how after the round, trying to get like 5 minutes just to catch your thoughts and that. I think one of the worst things that can happen in an IRL event, if you have a long round, and you're the last game to finish, and you have to go straight into the next one, especially if you're like in contention for top cut or something. Like, you just think, right, I've got no time to. I have to just go straight back in. It's a tough one. And one thing I want to say to people as well. If you're old enough to have a work or a full-time job, like let's say you work at an office, right? You work for like, I don't know, 8-hour shift. You have a lunch break as well, right? But how often you actually dedicated, literally sit at that screen, hardcore, everything, all your thought process going on your work. You have a little breaks every now. You chat to your mate, you check your emails, all that stuff. Try and find me a situation where you are hardcore concentrating for 8-9 hours of the day. And we're talking hardcore, every thought goes towards. Honestly, it is so draining, isn't it? Oh my goodness. It's so draining. Like, you have to literally think about that sort of stuff. So if you're going to your arena for the first time, get a good night's sleep. Don't go out on the lash too much, you know what I mean? Make sure you get a good sleep. Make sure you're hydrated, all that good. That stuff adds up, you know. Like, about time I went to like a side event, you know, and I had a bit of a mad night. I'm like, oh, God, what am I doing? What am I doing? That's happened a fair few times. Golly. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I prefer IRL. I'm assuming you prefer IRL as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually find it honestly easier, I guess, after all these years, just have the habits to play in person than online. But people probably find it, vice versa. So
Yeah, no,
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, you can't just walk around and say hi to people during online tournaments. So that's the whole allure of an event is gone.
Yeah, that's it. The whole social aspect. I think that's one reason why I haven't really done a ton of online stuff, because I like seeing all my friends. Like, I like chatting to my opponents as well. Like, I had a little Jedi mind with them, like, you know what I mean? I love that. I love chatting to my mates. I love like watching other games and being like, yo, they just drew that. Did you just see that? Like, 5-card combo. This guy just drew right here. I love that banter. And like, but when you're online, it's just like, oh yeah, I just got winced again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just removes all the fun aspect for me. But yeah, I'm not really a massive fan of TCG events. But hey, if you like them and you prefer them, each to your own. Like, you know what I mean? You carry on. Like, I've seen so many people just tearing it up in the online events, and I hope I hope a lot of them come to IRL so we can have a little go there as well. But yeah, no, crazy. And then, have you got any sort of tips for like big event prep? So we're talking like regionals here. Like, let's say there was a regionals where you are in like 2 weeks. What are you thinking? How are you preparing for that?
I think it vastly depends on who you are, what your goals are, and what your level is as a player as well. So I think if you're relatively new and you're looking to qualify for Worlds, you're looking to get like a solid finish at the event. You should play one of two things. You should either play the best deck in the game, or you should play the deck that you're most comfortable with. And hopefully there's a crossover, and the deck you're most comfortable with is the best deck in the game. It's just going to give you the best chance. Like, you don't want to get too fancy and try and counter everything. You don't want to play something that's not terribly good, but you also need to know how to play your deck, because you're going to be playing for 9 rounds, and you're much better off playing the third best deck perfectly than the first best deck with 5 mistakes in a day or something.
Yeah.
Or more, whatever. And you're obviously going to do better because even though the deck is stronger, if you make mistakes, it's absolutely not. And so those are, I guess, the 2 priorities that you need to be looking at. But yeah, don't get too fancy or trying to bring, totally your own concoction if your goal is to do well. If you want to have fun and you want to test your metal in terms of deck building, then go nuts. But if you're looking for a strong result, then play something pretty standard.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have, I've been guilty of that, playing the old 3 a.m. Wonder deck before regional, and then you go like 3 rounds in, and you're like 0-3, and you're like, okay, I'm now playing against Mega Glalie. Okay, I didn't plan for this match. What do I do? I've paid for a weekend hotel, paid for the train here, and I'm gonna go 5. What is happening? So I've been there. Don't do that.
It's like even with the Soul Calais Mewtwo deck I played, like I it was a good deck, right? But I went in going like, well, I'm playing this. If I go 0-3, that's fine. I'm prepared for that. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna accept that. I'm not. I want to play this, so I've kind of thrown out the try hard thing out the window. So you gotta make sure you know what you're going there to accomplish.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Have your expectations set at the right point, and hopefully you won't be disappointed. But yeah, like as it stands, what I tend to do is I try and pick a good deck that I don't think is going to go anywhere. I'll just play it for an awfully long time. So far, though, I have not been very good with that, Henry, because the first deck I thought won't be going anywhere. I thought was going to be Eternus, and that didn't last very long. So then I thought, okay, Shadow Rider draws cards. That can't be too bad. And then that hasn't really done a lot of craziness either. So I'm going to wait now. I'm going to wait. Arceus might be the next one I'm looking at. Or a single strike. I don't know. Single strike. Because I do like playing single strike online. But I don't know if it's going to translate well to when the regionals compact. So we'll have to wait and see. But thank you so much, Henry, for coming on, my man. That's been a killer EP. Yeah, it's been amazing. On the off chance people don't know where they can find you and all your terrific, your content and your coaching and your social media presence, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at benrybrand, I believe. Let me just really quickly double check that I'm very professional. At benrybrand. You find me on Twitch at benry_TCG. I don't stream super often, but maybe soon you'll see something. If you want to get coaching, I do coach a fair few people at the moment, and I do have a couple openings. So do get in touch via probably Twitter, or is going to be the best way. Anyway, that's where you can catch me. Hope you guys had a great time listening to Shay. I know I always do.
I hope you had a good time listening to Henry, because if you want some in-depth competitiveness, let's be honest, you're not getting it from me. But no, thanks a lot, Henry. We'll always enjoy having you on and getting some content. It's always a terrific fun time. Love that. And hopefully, you never know, if have some crazy stuff happen, we might get you back on again with some different topics.
Sounds great.
Yeah. If you guys have made it this far, though, leave the comment DualShock 4. So I know you're a real one. I know I always see them comments, the real one. I'm like, yeah, I like you guys right there. So make sure you leave that comment. DualShock, leave me some comments of who you want to see come on the podcast as well, and topics you want covered. But thank you so much for watching, as always, though. And I'll see you next time.